She had everything money could buy: luxury, fame, and a future planned out. But what no one expected was that a hidden illness would give the millionaire's daughter just 7 days left to live. Doctors had given up. Her family was shattered, and hope was slipping away. Yet in the shadows of her despair, one person no one ever noticed before stepped forward: the family's black employee. What he did in those final moments didn't just change her life. It left her mother in tears, and the world questioning everything they thought they knew. Could compassion truly defy fate? Her name was Isabella, the only daughter of a wealthy family whose fortune stretched across generations. From the outside, her life looked perfect: lavish parties, expensive gowns, and the kind of future that most people only dreamed of. Yet behind the gates of her family's mansion, Isabella was fragile. A rare illness had crept into her life, stealing her energy day by day, until doctors finally delivered the blow that shattered everything. She had just 7 days left to live. The house that once echoed with laughter now carried silence. Her mother, a woman of strength and pride, was crumbling under the weight of helplessness. The doctor's words replayed like a curse, and every tick of the clock became a cruel reminder of how little time remained. Amid the chaos, one figure moved quietly through the hallways: Samuel, the family's black employee. He had worked for them for years, often overlooked, sometimes even dismissed as if invisible. But Samuel had watched Isabella grow up. He had seen the kindness in her eyes when others only saw her wealth. And though no one could imagine it at that moment, Samuel was about to step into a role that no one expected. A role that would test the limits of compassion, courage, and the hidden truths about justice that wealth could never buy. The days that followed felt like a cruel countdown. Isabella's mother brought in more doctors, more treatments, sparing no expense, but nothing worked. Each failed attempt deepened the despair that hung heavy over the mansion. Friends and relatives visited with sympathy, yet most left quickly, unable to face the reality of a young life slipping away. But Samuel remained. He noticed the things no one else did: the way Isabella's smile dimmed when conversations turned to money, the way her eyes lingered on the world outside her window, longing for something beyond the walls of privilege and despair. While the family mourned what they might lose, Samuel saw the young woman who still clung to life in quiet ways. Yet even as he cared silently, the difference in who he was and who they were never disappeared. He was the servant, the worker in the shadows, often overlooked, sometimes even dismissed with cold glances. When Samuel offered to help comfort Isabella, he was told gently but firmly, "Just keep to your duties." It was a reminder of where he stood. His place was clear, unseen, unheard. Still, Samuel could not ignore the injustice of it. Here was a girl whose family had every advantage, yet the love she needed most, the human connection, was slipping away under the weight of titles and wealth. Samuel felt the sting of knowing that if it were his own child, the world might not even notice. And in that truth lay the cruelest cut of all. That value was often measured not by humanity, but by status and skin. One evening, as Isabella's breathing grew weaker, Samuel passed by her door and heard her whispering. She wasn't asking for medicine, nor for riches. She was asking for something simpler: hope, kindness, presence. Samuel froze, torn between his duty to remain invisible and the urge to step forward. He knew that if he crossed that invisible line, there could be consequences. But the clock was ticking, and with every second, Isabella's time was running out. The 7th night arrived, heavy with silence. Isabella lay in her room, her breaths shallow, her strength fading faster than anyone could bear to watch. Her mother sat at her side, hands trembling, tears staining her face. The doctors had said it was over. Nothing more could be done. The mansion, once filled with opulence, now felt like a tomb waiting to close. But Samuel couldn't stay in the shadows any longer. Against every unspoken rule that kept him in his place, he stepped into Isabella's room. For the first time, the family looked at him not as the servant, but as a man breaking boundaries. His voice trembled, yet carried a strength he never knew he had. He spoke words of comfort, of dignity, of faith, not as an employee, but as someone who saw her humanity when the world only saw her wealth. At first, there was resistance. Her mother, blinded by grief and pride, whispered, "Leave us." But Isabella's weak hand reached for Samuel's. In that touch lay a truth no one could deny, that compassion knew no color, no status, no boundaries. Samuel stayed, singing softly, holding her hand as her final hours ticked away. He gave her the gift her wealth could never buy, the dignity of not being alone. And as Isabella drew her final breath, it wasn't the luxury doctors or the endless money that mattered. It was the presence of the one man society had overlooked. Her mother wept, not just for her daughter's death, but for the cruel blindness that had kept her from seeing Samuel's worth until it was too late. In the days that followed Isabella's passing, the mansion felt emptier than ever. But for her mother, something had shifted. She replayed those final moments again and again, the way her daughter's last comfort had not come from doctors or wealth, but from Samuel, the man she had too often overlooked. The tears she shed were not only for her child, but for the blindness of her own heart. Samuel returned to his quiet duties, but he was no longer invisible. The family could not erase what he had done, nor could they ignore the truth that his humanity had always been as valuable as theirs. Yet Samuel knew this wasn't just about one family, one house, or one tragic week. It was about the countless times people like him were unseen, unheard, and unappreciated, simply because of the color of their skin. Isabella's story ended, but the lesson remained, that dignity, compassion, and love are not measured in wealth or power. They live in the hearts of those willing to see beyond prejudice. And so the question echoes. How many more lives will be lost? How many more moments wasted before society learns to value every soul equally? The answer lies not in money or privilege, but in the choices each of us makes. Because sometimes, the smallest act of humanity can change everything.